So in the previous video, we learned how to um, go navigate from one activity to the other. In this video, we'll be looking at how we can pass information or pass data to the next activity. Because right now we're just going there, but what if we had some data or some information that we want to pass in through? So to pass information through is actually very simple to do. What we have to do is just call our object again. So send intent, and then there is an option there, our method there called put extra. Okay, now put extra works with key value pairs. So the first key that we have to put in is the name and whatever. It's like it's sort of like a key value pair, which takes in the name and then the value. Okay, so in this case, what we're going to put here is I'm just going to say ID. Maybe I'm passing the user ID, or maybe I'm passing the username. So I'll say username. And then the second part is the value. So put extra takes in the name and then the value of what you're passing in a way. So what we have here is the value that we're going to have is, let's say, Kofi, right? So in this case, I have a username and a value of Kofi. You can do it as many times as you want. So let's say I want to add a password as well from one activity to the other. I have a password, and the password is also Kofi. Now, when I go to my main activity 2 now, I need to now get the information that's being passed on by activity 1. So now how do I do that? Well, that one is also very simple. I have to create an intent object again. And then, of course, I'm going to say intent, just going to call it intent. And I need to import the intent into this class. And then the intent works along with this get intent. So this get intent gets all the intents that is coming through to this activity from wherever it's coming from. It doesn't matter. It gets all the intent that is coming from. And then what we're going to do is that because we are passing in a string from the previous page, I'm going to create a variable called string username equals, and then I'm going to mention the name of my object, which is intent dot, right? And then intent dot get string extra. Because I am retrieving a string, I am going to say get string extra. So I'm just going to pass in username. Remember, the username was the name of it, and then we have the value. So the value here will be inserted inside of here. So username here, this variable will now contain Kofi. Now, if I wanted to get a password, it's the same thing. Password equals intent dot get string extra. And again, I'm going to pass in the password, and then that would get the value of the password. If I was to pass in an ID, for example, if I was to have, let's say, an intent of an ID of an integer, I'll just put int, ID equals intent dot get int extra. And then again, I'll pass in whatever value is supposed to be. So maybe user ID is what I was passing in through. And then you'll see here that I'll be able to get whatever ID was being passed through. It's quite interesting because it gives you several options of what you can use. You can either use get int extra, or you can use, whatever you're trying to get. If you want to get float, if you want to get long, is really dependent on you and how you would like to retrieve that kind of variable. But with the int extra itself, let's try and see. So int extra, and let's just say we want to pass in, let's say, user ID. Now, you see, when I'm passing the user ID, it's giving me an error. So if you press on it, it will tell you that, oh, okay, I'm trying to figure out what my error is, what my issue is, or whatever. So let's try something. So with the int extra, what you need to do is, if you're going to pass in something, what it also requires is that you can't have an ID where it doesn't have anything. So it will tell you to pass a default value. So in case user ID doesn't return anything, it doesn't exist, you still have your ID set to 0. So that is how you do with get int extra. But yeah, this is just a simple explanation of passing in data from one activity to the next activity. And I hope that this video helps you.